Anatomy 32, Chapter 11, the Muscular System. Topics: muscles that move bones of the upper limb. All right. Start off with muscles that move the humerus. So here is pectoralis major, that large anterior muscle on your chest. Its origin is the clavicle, the costal cartilage, and the sternum. So it has a huge origin, and it inserts into the greater tubercle of the humerus. And what does it do? Well, it involved in flexion of the arm, so the entire arm, and also adducts and medially rotates the arm. And all these motions occur, of course, at the shoulder joint. Flexion, adduction, and medial rotation. And if we look on the medial side of the humerus, we see the coracobrachialis muscle. So let me say that again, coracobrachialis muscle. Coracobrachialis muscle has its origin on the coracoid process of the scapula, and it inserts into the medial shaft of the humerus, and it is involved in adduction and flexion of the arm. So again, this is occurring at the shoulder joint. Then, if we look at the posterior side of the body, we see this really small muscle called the teres minor, and it inserts into the humerus and leads to adduction and lateral rotation of the arm. And then below that is a slightly larger muscle called teres major, and it causes extension, adduction, and medial rotation of the arm. So again, teres minor and teres major. Then we have this huge sheet of a muscle on the lower back called latissimus dorsi. Clearly, its origin is along the vertebral column. It inserts into the humerus, and it can extend the arm, adduct the arm, and medially rotate the arm. Again, all these motions coming from the shoulder joint. And then, if we look on the anterior side of the scapula, we see the subscapularis muscle. It inserts. It's going from the subscapular fossa of the scapula and inserts into the lesser tubercle of the humerus, and it helps to medially rotate the arm. Again, back to the posterior side of the scapula, we see the supraspinatus muscle. This muscle abducts the arm, going from its origin in the supraspinous fossa of the scapula and inserting into the greater tubercle of the humerus. And then the infraspinatus muscle that adducts and laterally rotates the arm, and its origin is in the infraspinous fossa of the scapula, and it inserts into the greater tubercle of the humerus. And you can see the supraspinatus and infraspinatus muscles. Then on the lateral side of the arm, we have the deltoid muscle, a very large muscle on the shoulder. Its origin is the clavicle, the acromion, and spine of the scapula. So clavicle, acromion, and spine of the scapula. And it inserts into the deltoid tuberosity of the humerus. And it is a large muscle. It can flex and medially rotate the arm. It can engage in abduction, which means extending the arm out laterally, and it can extend and laterally rotate the arm. So it can both flex and medially rotate the arm and extend and laterally rotate the arm. Again, this is because it is such a broad, large muscle. It does not have to contract completely. So if the anterior portion contracts, we get flexion or medial rotation. If the posterior side contracts, we get extension and or laterally rotating the arm. And then if the middle portion or maybe a lateral portion contracts, it would pull the arm out via abduction. Here is the biceps brachii muscle on the anterior side of the arm, and it is one of the muscles that moves the forearm. Turns out biceps brachii crosses two joints, the shoulder joint and the elbow joint. Its origin is on the supraglenoid tubercle of the scapula and the coracoid process of the scapula, and it inserts into the radial tuberosity of the radius. What can it do? Well, it can flex the arm at the shoulder, it can flex the forearm at the elbow joint, and it can also supinate the forearm. So turn it so that the forearm is turning toward the anterior side, so the palm is facing front. Underneath or deep to the biceps brachii is the brachialis muscle. So underneath it, brachialis muscle. Its origin is on the distal anterior surface of the humerus. It inserts into the coronoid process of the ulna, crosses only the elbow joint, and it flexes the forearm at the elbow joint. Then we also have, on the more lateral side, Brachioradialis. It crosses only the elbow joint. Its origin is the lateral supracondylar ridge of the humerus, and it inserts into the styloid process of the radius. What does it do? It flexes the forearm at the elbow joint. Again, this is a very lateral muscle. Most of its belly is appearing in the forearm area. All right, on the posterior side of the humerus, we have the triceps brachii muscle. Triceps for three origins. So its origins include the infraclinoid tubercle of the scapula, the humerus above the radial groove, and the humerus below the radial groove. And it inserts into the olecranon of the ulna. What does it do? Well, it's crossing two joints, the shoulder joint and the elbow joint. So it extends and abducts the arm at the shoulder joint and extends the forearm at the elbow joint. A very deep muscle in the forearm area is the supinator. So the supinator, surprise, surprise, helps to supinate the forearm, again, turning the forearm so the palm is facing anteriorly. Now we're looking at these muscles clearly in the forearm area. This includes the Pronator teres. Pronator teres has its origin in the medial epicondyle of the humerus and the coronoid process of the ulna, and it inserts into the lateral surface of the radius. The Pronator teres, surprise, surprise, helps to pronate the forearm, so it helps to turn forearm so that the palm is facing posteriorly. And these are all anterior muscles of the forearm. Then we have the Flexor Carpi radialis, going from the medial epicondyle of the humerus, crossing over toward the metacarpals 2 and 3, so heading in the direction of the radius. And it can flex the hand and abduct the hand. So help to flex the hand, hence flexor, and also abduct the hand. We have Palmaris Longus, going from the medial epicondyle of the humerus toward the palmar aponeuroses. Aponeuroses is just a sort of ligament found at the base of the palm. And so the palmaris longus inserts into the ligament, sort of in the center of where the palm is. And it is a weak hand flexor. Turns out some people have the palmaris longus muscle, other people do not, and some people have one on one arm and not on the other. Turns out it is a pretty irrelevant muscle, so it doesn't matter if it's present or not. All right, and next on the anterior side of the forearm, we have Flexor Carpi ulnaris, going from the medial epicondyle of the humerus, as well as the olecranon of the ulna, and inserting into the pisiform and hamate bones and metacarpal 5. So it is on the same side as the ulna, and it will flex the hand and adduct the hand. Remove all those muscles, and deep to them is this large sheet-like muscle called the Flexor Digitorium Superficialis, and it flexes the hand, and it also flexes fingers 2 through 5. So you can see its tendons going to fingers 2 through 5. And if you remove that muscle, underneath it is a sheet-like muscle called Flexor Digitorium Profundus. It also flexes the hand and helps to flex fingers 2 through 5. So again, has tendons going to fingers 2 through 5. We flip over to the posterior side of the forearm. We see that we have the Extensor Carpi Radialis Longus, so running on the same side as the radius. Its origin is the lateral supracondylar ridge of the humerus, and it inserts into the metacarpal 2. So it inserts in the metacarpal 2, and it helps to extend the hand, hence extensor, and also abduct the hand. Then we have adjacent to it, Extensor Carpi Radialis Brevis, going from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus and inserting into metacarpal 3, And it extends the hand and abducts the hand. From there we have Extensor Digitorium. Extensor Digitorium has its origin in the lateral epicondyle of the humerus, and it inserts into the phalanges of fingers 2 through 5, so it has tendons going to fingers 2 through 5. It extends the hand and extends fingers 2 through 5. Then from there we have Extensor Digity Minimi. This muscle goes from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus and inserts into proximal phalanx 5, and so it can extend finger 5, the pinky finger, and it can weakly extend the hand. Look at that muscle. And then we have Extensor Carpi ulnaris. And Extensor Carpi ulnaris goes from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus and inserts into metacarpal 5. And it can extend the hand and adduct the hand. So we have quite a number of muscles on the posterior side, all of them extensors of one kind or another. Then we have these small muscles, Extensor Polycus Longus, which goes to the thumb and helps to extend the thumb and also can weakly extend the hand. And then Abductor Polycus Longus, also going to the thumb, and it can abduct the thumb and weakly extend the hand. So Extensor Polycus Longus can extend the thumb. Abductor Polycus Longus can abduct the thumb. And that is it for this part of Chapter 11.